Hi there, Kelly from Webex Events here. In this video, I'll guide you through setting up custom registration questions and follow-up questions. Registration checkout forms let you customize which optional and required questions registrants answer after they select a ticket on the registration page. In the event navigation bar, select Checkout Forms under the Registration dropdown. These questions are highly customizable, and we recommend mapping out all of your questions prior to setting them up so that this process is streamlined and easy to follow. Check out this question mapping template linked at the end of this video. This page is all about creating and managing the checkout forms. We'll come back to this page later. Let's click Questions in the top right corner. Now, I can create new checkout questions and manage the existing questions. The questions with a red asterisk indicate that they are required. Let's click on the New Questions dropdown. Scroll past the attendee questions to find the custom question options. Short text, long text, and checkbox select are just a few of the possibilities here. In this example, I'm going to choose the checkbox select option. In the modal that appears, enter the question's label title. This step is required. Our conference is going to host a networking dinner for the in-person attendees. We want to know who will be attending this dinner. Next, I'm going to add a description for the question, providing a little more detail. I'm going to assign this to the in-person checkout form for the attendees that will physically be at the venue. And lastly, I have the choice of making this an optional or required question. I'll make this one required for the attendees so we know how many people to expect at the dinner. Always be sure to save the changes. To make any edits to the question, click the Settings icon, then Edit. Next, I'm going to configure some follow-up questions, which are a great way to further streamline checkout forms. You can add these follow-up questions to certain question types, such as checkbox select, single select, drop-down single, and groups multiple choice multi-select. Back in the new question drop-down, I'm going to do another checkbox select. The label for this question is, do you have any dietary restrictions? At this point, I won't assign the follow-up question to a form like I did for the parent question. Click Save on the follow-up question. One final follow-up question I will add here is a long text question labeled, Please specify your dietary restrictions. And save. Now let's link the follow-up questions to the original parent question. To do so, I'm going to navigate back to the Forms tab in the top right corner. Next, click the Settings icon next to the checkout form with the parent question we created and click Edit. In this example, I'm going to take the parent question asking, Are you attending the networking dinner? Next to the question, click the Settings icon once again and select Add a follow-up question. In the Show When Registrant Selects field, I'm going to select the Yes option. Then, from the follow-up question dropdown, select the follow-up question, Do you have any dietary restrictions? And click Add. What I just set up for this checkout form is if someone says yes to attending the networking dinner, they will be prompted to tell us if they have dietary restrictions. Finally, I'm going to do that one more time. Next to the question about dietary restrictions, I'm going to click the Settings icon and click Add a follow-up question. And again, if yes, then please specify your dietary restrictions, and click Add. Now you can see all three questions that were created in the Questions tab and the two follow-up questions that we added in the Forms tab. That is as far as I can go with follow-up questions. If I were to try to add another follow-up question to this follow-up question, the option to do so is not there. Once that is complete, I can return here to Edit, Unlink, Remove, and Add follow-up questions. If I had accidentally added my follow-up question as a parent question, simply remove the question from the checkout form using this drop-down, and then it will be available in the follow-up questions drop-down. Now that I have configured all parent and follow-up questions, I'm going to make sure all my changes have been saved. For more information on registration checkout form questions, check out the knowledge base article called Create Checkout Forms and Questions.
Hello, Ezzy from Webex Events here. In this next section, I'll guide you through creating custom consent questions for your checkout form. Add one or more custom consent questions and customize them to fit your needs. This is great when you need to ask questions like, would you like to receive information about future events, or do you consent to us sharing your data with a third party for marketing purposes? Additionally, the new privacy report gives you details about which attendees have and have not provided consent. Let's go over setting this up. Under Registration in the navigation bar, select Checkout Forms. Then click the Questions tab. Click the New Question button, scroll down to Privacy and Consent, and select Custom Consent. Enter a title for the question in the Label Title field, and then enter the description in the Description field. Next, click the Assign to Form drop-down and select the checkout form or forms you want this question to display on. By default, registrants are required to answer custom consent questions. If this question does not require a response, uncheck the required checkbox. Next, enter the text for the option attendees click to agree to the consent question. If you want to add a refusal option, click Add Refusal Option and Warning, enter the text option attendees click to refuse consent, and, if desired, enter the message in the refusal warning field that communicates any limits to access, communication, and accommodation caused by refusing consent. Finally, decide whether attendees who didn't register themselves for the event will automatically agree or reject the question by clicking either Agree by default or Refuse by default. This applies to attendee imports and one person registering on behalf of another person. When you're finished, click the Save Changes button. Now, your custom consent questions display at the bottom of the checkout form.